Hey there, welcome. If it's your first time joining me, welcome. And if you're a returning repeat customer viewing what I talk about, welcome back. I am Debbie, and I talk about gadolinium deposition disease, gadolinium deposition and toxicity. Gadolinium, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a toxic rare earth metal that is injected tens of millions of times annually, and it's problematic in the human body. Heavy metals don't belong in our body. Toxic rare earth metals don't belong in our body. And we inject this one directly into the bloodstream. It's wrapped in a ligand that's intended to make it safe. And I want to talk a little bit today and do a shout out and a call out and ask for people's help to bring awareness to this heavy metal. It's what I do. I'm a patient advocate, I'm a patient stakeholder, I'm a patient representative, and I'm someone who is passionate and living the effects of being injected 4 times without ever being given informed consent, a consult, truth, transparency to the risks of this toxic rare earth metal. And the more we know, the less we should be using it. And the more people should be given a consult and informed consent. And there are still gaps out there, huge gaps. And so I want to talk about that today. So thank you for joining me. My teeth are missing, and I kind of laugh because dental is a known problem with gadolinium patients. And it's just ironic that my entire front plate would just fall out. One of the tooths rotted out and broke, and so here I am. But I do have an appointment to get it fixed next week. I'm at my cabin right now, and so we don't have a dentist here. It's a small community, and so I'm waiting to see my own dentist when I get back to Boise. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get to the root of this post, which is about gadolinium facts. I want to share some facts. I want to encourage you all to think about your own healthcare journey, to be empowered to consider what could be going wrong, what might be wrong, what could be the root cause. I mean, I know we're kind of in a time of change, and we've always managed symptoms. Healthcare's always managed symptoms, and very few times have we taken time to look at root causes. And then sometimes when we know root causes, we still find a reason to use those products, such as gadolinium-based contrast agents, just because they're the best we have available to us. But that doesn't make it right, especially if you don't have informed consent about what you're injecting or is being injected into your body. So let's go. Gadolinium facts, and I'm going to read some of this, a lot of it. So I apologize, I'm not looking in the camera, but it's important, and I want to make sure I cover all the facts of this post. This post has been sent to lots of people of influence who have positions of influence, the HHS, the CDC, the FDA, Secretary Kennedy, the president, all kinds of people who can help us out with this and get this figured out. So this is my plea. This is my call to action. And here we go. Gadolinium facts. It's been injected, and it is injected tens of millions of times annually. It creates a beautiful glow-in-the-dark image, and the doctors can see so much because it just helps them see inside the body and the cavity. So that's a great thing, right? But there are downsides to that. It's a foreigner to the body. It sets off lifelong inflammation throughout the human body, which is just the body's way to alert us that something is horribly wrong, right? When we get inflammation, that's just our body saying, hey, pay attention, something's wrong here. It creates fibrosis in organs, and that's a fact that's been known about since 1997. And we've learned a lot since then. Originally, it was thought only to impact the kidneys, and they labeled that disease NSF, nephrogenic systemic fibrosis. But since then, we've learned so much. We have so much research out there. Thank goodness the research is no longer behind paywalls, and everyone's afforded to go out to the National Library, Medicine Library, and Google and look for these papers and read for yourself. And there are, millions of patients doing that, and we're all learning so much. So our world is changing, and we are in a time of flux. So, okay, let's keep going. So it creates fibrosis. That's been known about since 1997. The fibrosis, now we have research talking about it in the mitochondria, in the heart, in the kidneys. We can see nanoparticles in the kidneys. And the fibrosis is just kind of an end result. It's when the body's just done everything it can to protect itself, and it sends all of its fighters to the site where it's being, where this metal might be being stored, or an injury exists, and it says, let me help you, and it sends all these warriors to help us heal. And fibrosis is one of the outcomes. It's an outcome. It's not a root cause. It's an outcome. Okay, so it's toxic, and it is retained in everyone. That is something that was acknowledged in 2008. The manufacturers all signed a letter acknowledging that it is stored in the brain, the bones, the tissue, and the organs of everyone injected. So you have that. It primes the body for some reason and creates a medical dependency for a lot of us, where we just continue to go back in a repeat customer model to the industry or to medical professionals in seeking help and seeking some kind of acknowledgement, because we're in pain, we have new symptoms, new side effects, new and unexpected issues with our health, and we're just really there seeking help. And this topic, gadolinium, is tightly sealed. No one wants to talk about it. And my most recent diagnosis, of which I have a laundry list since I've been injected 4 times, my most recent diagnosis was HCM. And I've spoken to multiple cardiologists and even a surgeon, heart surgeon, and none of them will talk to me about the fact that I have retained gadolinium, and it could be causing some of these symptoms and problems in my body. And I'm not alone in that. I am in a group of 13,000 people, and while that group isn't only of people poisoned, but also has other people who are just in the group for various reasons, but all of these people are saying the same thing. We go to the doctor, we ask the doctor, can we talk about gadolinium? And they shame us, they disregard our concerns, they bully us. I've even been fired by doctors because I won't let it go. I'm so certain that this toxic rare earth metal, and the reports and the research journals I have read, is causing havoc in the body, and we need to address it. Okay, so it primes the body and creates a dependency. And that's what's kind of ironic about that, and what I just said, is that we even have a CDC statement that came out in 2022, and I have that statement. I've read that statement out loud multiple times in various podcasts I've done. I've talked to people when I've done interviews, and I've shared that information. And there's a lot to unwrap in this single page file here. But one of the things that it says that we should all be concerned about is that even in small amounts, may be associated with significant morbidity and mortality. If that doesn't raise the red flag right up the flagpole, I don't know what does. And I talk to doctors every day and show them this document, and they swear they have never seen it, never heard of it. And that's a problem. That's a gap. That's a gap in our system. Our system is so complex. I don't blame anyone. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying we need action, and we need to move forward towards solutions. Okay, let's move on. So gadolinium, even though it's wrapped in that ligand, as the CDC statement talks about, and there's lots of podcasts and researchers who talk about it too, and claim that it's still safe because it's wrapped in a ligand, but research is now saying there's something wrong. It's not working. That ligand is not protecting the human body from even what the manufacturers state, that some amount of gadolinium is retained in the brain, the bones, the tissue, and the organs, and it's not inert. Okay, so informed consent, truth, transparency, we kind of talked about that. And I think that's the RACI chart at this point. The RACI chart, if you haven't ever worked in business, you may not be familiar with it. It's really just a business tool that helps map out the business model as far as how we manage different protocols and processes. And it refers to who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, and who's informed about various processes and information within the pipeline of any given process or protocol. So the RACI chart's got some problems in regards to gadolinium. You talk to all kinds of people. I do. I talk to people all the time, and they're like, it's not my job. That's the doctor's job. No, that's the radiologist's job. No, that's the patient job. The patient should do their homework. I mean, so there's just this ongoing debate about who owns being responsible for injecting and the follow-up and figuring out the bigger problem of this toxic rare earth metal that's injected. So the RACI chart's broken. And we talk about that. There's a lot of people who talk about this. It's not new. It's a growing community. We're seeing 400 new patients every single month. And every time a research paper gets published and makes national news, our support group jumps. And we're just one group of many worldwide. But it can go from 400 to 700 in a single month based on a research project that's being released. So it is, you can see that it is a big deal, right? I mean, it's something that deserves attention for sure. And I think the informed consent, the transparency, the truth, that goes back to the RACI chart, as I just mentioned, but it also is something that patients in an informal poll in the patient group, 91% of the people said they were never given informed consent. They were never given a consultation, a medication guide, and the FDA has published that should be happening. It's not. It's still a gap, and so that's a problem. So we have to do better, right? That's what my post is about. We have to do better. Let's think through this. I don't want to be here forever, have you listen to me chit chat. But let's say, where do we go from here? So I would encourage everyone. This has been injected over 500 million times. People are more sick than ever in the United States and across the planet, really. We have lots of people from foreign countries, and unfortunately, they don't even have, some of those people in those countries don't even have medical assistance to be able to do a simple urine test to test and see how much gadolinium their body is currently excreting. And that's one of the ways that you can test for toxicity levels, is to run a urine test, 24-hour heavy metal urine test, and that will show you that you are retaining it and that you are excreting it. And that goes down as the metal moves and finds a partner on the dance floor, moves off the dance floor, and gets stored in our brain, our bone, our tissues, and our organs, right? And there's research papers about the mitochondria, about the bone marrow, about all of that, about the organs, that talks to that. It's not like this is unique. I mean, it's not like this is the first time that we're chatting about it. So let's move forward. Where am I going next? So I would encourage you, if you've had an injection, to just think about your own history of your journey, your healthcare journey, your wellness journey. What do you face since being injected, or what has changed in your own body since you have been injected? There are some people whose bodies seem to just move it to the side, excrete it, and they don't claim to have problems. We also have people who come to the group 20 years later, suddenly having NSF, and they're like, I don't even remember getting an injection of this toxic rare earth metal that happened 20 years ago. And now I'm being diagnosed with NSF or kidney failure or whatever, and they're connecting the dots and saying, is it this toxic rare earth metal? Those are the questions that we have to find answers to. And those are the reasons why this call to action is being made. And I'm imploring the medical community, as have the FDA and the CDC in recent documents, to reconsider the frequency in which you are injecting this into your patients. I would ask, the naturopathic and the functional medicine communities really embrace this, and they deal with heavy metal toxicity a lot more than in the allopathic world. That's still kind of new to the allopathic world, as far as treatments and education and all of that. But they're starting to ask every single patient on their intake forms. They're saying, have you had an MRI with contrast? And they don't do that to point fingers or place blame or shame or anything. It's just one more data point to say, let's help figure out why you're so sick and how we can help you get well, right? Because no one deserves to be sick. And especially if it's something that we can prevent. And if you choose to inject it and you know the risks, kudos to you. Then the medical community has done their due diligence. And that's all any of us can ask. If we know what's being injected, we send cancer patients home with a ton of information that says these medicines are dangerous. These medicines come with risks. These medicines may kill the healthy cells in your body as well as the unhealthy cells. We educate people. We don't do that with gadolinium right now. That's a gap, and that's a problem. Okay, so think about your own health care. Think about what new things have happened to you. Do you have autoimmune diseases? Do you have chronic fatigue? Have you been diagnosed with new tumors, cysts, fibrosis, cytokine storms, swelling, inflammation, weight gain, weight loss, muscle weakness, burning, bone pain, blood pressure changes, cholesterol changes, histamine issues, respiratory, heart, other organ problems that might be coming up that everyone's at a loss. Where did this suddenly come from? Could it be that this toxic rare earth metal is playing a role? Don't we all deserve to figure it out? And there's enough research out there that the AI engines are smart enough to reconcile all of it and come up with a really good summary that helps us move forward. I believe that. I do believe that. So maybe you've tried diet, exercise, all the things that your medical community tells you to do and suggests. And sometimes people say they do get temporary relief. People take supplements, people do saunas, they do HBOT, they do acupressure, they do acupuncture, they do lymphatic massages. We're all doing so much to maintain homeostasis in our bodies and help it be healthy, but it's hard when our body is retaining a toxic rare earth metal that's creating chaos that no one will talk about. I think that's the biggest thing. When no one will talk about something that insurance pays to inject, and they have no cure, no antidote, and we have thousands of people going to the medical community asking, and the medical community continues to turn a blind eye, that's not healthcare. That's not wellness. That's sick care at best. So take your time, create a log, think back about your own symptoms, ask yourself, did I have an injection? I think about my own family members who have passed recently, and I can remember the exact day that they were first injected for the first time with this toxic rare earth metal. And I look back at their ongoing blog of health failures afterwards, and I have to wonder, what role did this play? In my own body, I have tracked since day one. I have tracked every single diagnosis. I have tracked every single issue that has come up, unexplained or explained. I've had doctors fire me because I won't inject more toxins into my body so that they can see inside the body to tell me what's wrong with my body. That's a personal choice. And I want everyone, every single person to have that choice. But you, as the patient, you are responsible. No one's coming to save you. There are millions of people in thousands of support groups on social media who are sicker than they've ever been, trying to connect the dots to why they're sick. We can't all be wrong. Something's not working. So heavy metals, synthetics, manufactured chemicals, we all know those are foreign to the body. Our body doesn't reconcile it. It can't eradicate them. It can't eliminate these foreigners. And it creates chaos and sets off an inflammatory response or new and worsening injury or issues in the body. These chemicals and heavy metals and synthetics, they serve no biological reason to be put into the human body, especially injected directly into the bloodstream, whether it's wrapped with a ligand or not. We don't inject mercury. We don't inject lead. We don't inject aluminum. We don't inject arsenic. All of those are metals or rare earth elements that cause chaos, and we know that, and we don't inject them. That should be the same for gadolinium. I don't care if it's wrapped in a ligand. Now the ligand is proven not to be effective or something's wrong, whether the ligand stays intact and the metal is just so incredibly, it's the coldest metal on Earth. So maybe it's so cold it just gets outside the ligand. We don't know. I don't think that we know, and I don't think we may ever know, but we have history with other metals. Thorifast, that was a big one. Even the women who painted the dials on the clock during the World War II with radium and died. We know that metals are not the right thing to be in the body. They're just not. So it's a call out. It's a, please, let's do some due diligence here. Yes, maybe gadolinium. People will say all the time, it's the best thing we have, Debbie. It's the only thing we have to help people. And that may be true. And like I just said a couple minutes ago, if that's the case and people are informed and know the risks and have been given a consultation, a medication guide, and they decide they want to inject it and move forward with their own healthcare problems and journey to find wellness, then that's great. Good. Kudos. Everybody's done their job. That's not the case today. And I'm repeating myself. That's why I was going to read this. I apologize. We're at a critical juncture, folks. Toxicity overload sets off disease. Everyone's body reacts differently. Some people have a great body at eliminating foreigners. Most of us do not. So we're at a critical juncture, and we can't just continue to point fingers and play the blame game. We have to move past that. We have to consider the science. We don't need more research. We just need to reconcile the research we have. As I said early on, in 1997, it was acknowledged for the very first time that there were problems with gadolinium contrast-based agents. They thought it was only related to kidneys, people who had bad kidneys. Since then, we have so much research that contradicts that, and we know that it isn't and wasn't just related to NSF. I'm going to end here shortly. I appreciate your attention. Health is wealth. Millions of people in thousands of support groups cannot all be wrong. And I'm not saying that gadolinium is the only offender. Fact is, gadolinium's a foreigner that's retained once it's injected into the bloodstream, and it does impact health. It's wrapped in a ligand. Okay, that's great, but now we know there's problems with the ligand, as the CDC statement says. We have no cure. We have no antidotes. Insurance pays to inject it, and then doctors will stand on it that it is the best thing for what we have on the market today. And whether that is or isn't the case to being able to see a glow-in-the-dark picture, it's not enough. It's impacting too many people. So be your own best advocate. Be the advocate for your loved ones. Ask if it's the right thing. Hopefully, we have other modalities, other ways to test the body. We're growing rapidly and quickly, but we cannot ignore this any longer. So I'm going to just leave it there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm a patient. I'm a patient advocate. I'm a patient representative. And I'm also your neighbor, your friend, your family member, a colleague. I'm a published author on this topic who has read research, has talked to thousands of patients just like myself who are struggling to get their body to live in homeostasis. It doesn't exist. Even when we take supplements, we eat, right? We diet, we do all the right things. There's something about this particular metal that isn't good for us. So it's not the only thing I know. It's complex, right? Genetics play a factor, environmental plays a factor. We live in a toxic world, and we can only, each of us, decide for ourselves what we're willing to live with when it comes to wellness and having our body in homeostasis. The world's on fire right now with so much information out there. We have people working around the clock to figure things out, to get us back to nature versus these man-made products that seem to be causing problems. God created us uniquely, every one of us uniquely and perfectly. And we've done this. Man's done this. We live in a toxic world. Our air, our soil, our water, it's polluted. And that doesn't bode well for any of us. And our future generations deserve more. There's a lot of us who are old, and I think the part of gadolinium that really is hard on me is to see infants. There's a study out with 1.4 million infants and children. There's the group itself has many 20, 30-something-year-olds who have been poisoned. And the reasons they got injected and they went to the doctor in the first place aren't deserving of what's happened to them. These young people had their whole lives in front of them. I'm old. I'm 65. That's not old, I know. But I just hate to see our young people poisoned. They had their whole lives ahead of them. And I know many who are living in cars, living in state parks, have been shunned by their families who don't believe them that a toxic rare earth metal could be setting off these symptoms or this kind of chaos. It's heartbreaking. So let's do better. When we know better, we do better, right? That's what humans do. God bless. Take care of yourself. May your journey be one of wellness always. And until next time, I'll have my teeth back by then. Bye.